What's up, guys? Jeremy Clark here at Phil's Jackson on Twitter, and coming to you live streaming from the Crypto Cartel Discord with our main man, Crypto Luke. And we're just going to be taking a look at the Delta just to see if there's been an increase in buying or selling recently and what it looks like going forward. I'm just going to double check something here, make sure the screen is recording. Yep, that looks good. So, taking a look at Bitcoin, I have the weekly delta pulled up, going all the way back to 2017. Can you see my screen, Luke?
Yep, got it.
Awesome. So, you know, right over here, December 2017, you can see there was a bit of a buying peak, and then it dropped off into a bear market. The red line is our kind of the bottom of the negative sales, or I should just say the sells, and the blue line is kind of the peak of the buyers, and then the white line is the moving average. So moving forward, we kind of went through this bear market. Uh, Here's the dip on March 2020. That's the COVID dip. You can see there's a big drop off in buy volume. But this is what really struck me. Since 2019, um, Bitcoin has been being accumulated on the larger scale. I mean, the buyers are outweighing the sellers by far, and you can see, look at that, massively outweighing the amount of sellers. So somebody with deep pockets has been accumulating this thing, and the volume has just been growing and growing. So when people say, crypto's going down or Bitcoin's coming to an end, I mean, if you look at the buy volume, it's increasing. And it's going to increase a bit more, I think, when we get to the peak in 2025. Is that coming through all right for you?
Yep, yep. There's a
Awesome.
huge difference what you're pointing out.
Yeah, yeah, you can really see it picked up. I guess everyone got interested around 2019, and maybe they lost interest a little bit around. Well, 2020 was the lockdown, and then boom, it just exploded. And then this is our bear market here, and then this is where looks to me where it bottomed out. Um, Let me just double check on that. I think the bottom was around 15, which would have been around November 2022. Does that sound right? That's what I'm seeing
Yep.
right here. So if I scroll this over to November 22, August, September, October, November. Yeah, you can see there was a bit of a drop off there, but it picked up again. So in terms of buying volume falling off, it was actually August 2022 where the buy volume really dropped down, and then it started to pick up again. So that to me is like this little double bump, this little accumulation. It's almost a W shape right here. That's kind of where price really started to be accumulated again, or Bitcoin started to be accumulated on a larger scale. So I find that really interesting. I was looking at the moving average, and I think this is set to. Let me double check because it's the 20. So I was playing around with the 20 moving average and the 50, 50 being like the trend, and you can see there was a dip right here. Again, that's the August dip, and then it's picked up and it dipped a little bit in terms of buying volume in 20 January, and then it's kind of on an uptrend again. So that's a really good signal that price is trending. And you can even see this wave shape right here where it comes up and then it retraces and then it starts to pick up again. So if buy volume passes that, which it looks like it's about to, we should see double that amount of buy volume kicking in, which is a good sign.
Looks
So
good.
yeah, it looks healthy, right?
Yep.
Um,
So it's good to see this because I don't use this one, the Delta. I don't use that much, so it's good for you to point that out.
yeah, I don't use it that much until just last week is something I started looking at, and I thought, what when you look at the lower time frame, you see a lot of ups and downs. So if I switch
Yeah.
to the 4 hour, let's see if I can pull it up here. You'll see the let's move up to the daily. Let's see if that I can find that. No, it's hiding. I have it too far zoomed in. But on the lower time frames, you'll see the positive and negative delta changing quite a bit. And, you know, that's normal, like throughout the day. But when you're looking at the longer time frame, it really starts to open things up. You're like, oh, okay, this is on a larger time frame really being accumulated. So I'm going to roll over to Phantom. Same thing, I got Phantom on the weekly, and I always used to use, Phantom as kind of my indicator for Bitcoin. And then once the bear market hit, it it didn't work so well. But it's starting to pick up again. It's starting to run in sync. You can see over here you got the 2021, and then Phantom really took off August 21 in terms of buy volume. Then it was sold off. This is all bear market. Then the sellers, outweighed buyers through 2022 right here, which you didn't see in Bitcoin, right?
Yep.
And then right here it picked up again. So this is January, February of 2023. You can see it really fell off. You know, it was below the moving average, um, but it never went below zero here. See, like that whole section, this area was 2022. The sellers were in control in 2022, but then in 23, the buyers dropped off, but it never went below the zero mark. So technically, it was still being accumulated. It's just maybe people were losing interest, and it looks like it's kind of on this upswing again. So there's some differences there. Um, Flipping over to Ape, just Ape's one I've been really interested in. I think it's a total meme coin. It's got a lot of like hype, but it's tied in with the whole Bored Ape Yacht Club and just the whole ape meme thing in general. So I think it's got kind of a cool branding. And then I was looking at this, and I went, "Whoa, this has been selling off." Still sellers are in control. It's below the zero mark, so the sellers are heavily in control of Ape still, just in terms of the buyer sell volume. So that doesn't look too healthy to me. That doesn't look like this has actually swung back around the other way. So I don't know that I'd be comfortable accumulating Ape right now. Just looking at that,
It's risky play
it
for
kind of
sure.
looks like it, yeah. Unless it's bottoming out and it's about to flip the other way, and I would love to catch it at that point, but it's really tough to say. Um, Looking at this, if I just compare the chart, you can see the downswing in price, and then sellers really took over here. I'd like to see it flip the other way, something like this, where it's all sellers and
Yeah.
then it starts to accumulate. That could be an interesting spot to get back in. And then I know that you use algo quite a bit, and that's another
Yeah.
one I've been interested to start accumulating. And algo is showing some signs of health here. We've got all through 2019, um, it was above the zero mark. Let's just mark that and go to the settings here. Make sure that's at zero. So in terms of being like delta neutral, um, it was delta negative here all the way up until December 2020, and then it spiked. It peaked November 21. It came down. This is all bear markets, all below the. So this is the 50. So this is kind of the trending, the larger trend moving average, and it's been delta negative up until August. Or I'm sorry, October. So October, November, December, January. So it's been starting to be accumulated, but then you look right here. There's a dip below
Yeah.
the.
It's a tricky one, I think, algo now.
Yeah, this looks to me like it's getting ready, and you can see the trend line is starting to roll back the other way. Um, but perhaps when this trend line crosses the zero, that might be an area to really start looking at it. Um, if the market has totally bottomed out, it might be a good spot to start accumulating, but with caution or, looking at the longer
Yeah.
term. Yeah, it's
I think if we
interesting.
get another big wipeout, I think algo will be a good one to jump on.
That's kind of what I was thinking. Like I feel like that's what this looks like right here.
Yeah,
You know?
because Bitcoin's still in control, and when it goes, everything will go with it still. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah, I think
think algo's not too strong at the minute. Like you said, it's. I think people are in two minds. They're accumulating but unsure. Even me myself, I've sold what I bought at 10 cents. I sold the algo just to keep some profits, but
and
also have to anticipate a Bitcoin wipeout as well soon.
yeah, I think at some point it's gonna take out a bunch of stops, right?
Yeah, to really scare people as well.
Yeah. I'm just looking at the let's just take a look at the fibs real quick on algo. So yeah, algo is right at that golden 62% pullback. Um,
Let
you
me
know,
have a
if,
look as well.
yeah, if it starts to break that, that could be interesting. There's a little weekly FVG right there.
See.
Yeah, okay, that's so if I pair it with the candlesticks, you can see there's a bounce happening right here, right off the golden Fibonacci pivot. There's a previous fair value gap of a buyer's imbalance right here that it's bouncing off of. And in that situation, it would, you could target 25 cents probably
Yeah.
if that continues. And then looking at the delta here, you can see there it is, just like one little turtle poking its head out. It's just above neutral. So that's interesting. It does kind of look like constriction. It's getting tighter and tighter and tighter. It's got to break in one way or the other.
I mean, it's showing strength on the monthly. If you look on the monthly chart, if you look at the MACD stock RSI, it's showing strength.
Yeah, yeah, I believe that. Um, it's bumping up against this previous liquidity level right here. So that's what would need to break. Is this that guy right there? Get some more upside out of it. Um, I think if Bitcoin keeps taking off the way it looks like it wants to, then this will drag it with it pretty quickly.
Yeah, I agree.
So that gives me some a positive look at algo actually. It's like we're just seeing the potential start right there on the delta. That's very cool. And on the weekly, it is above the moving average, the 50. I think that's the 50. Let's just double check. Yeah, that's the 50. So that's the larger trend. That's a good sign. It's above that. Um, I'm going to pop over and look at Solana. Very similar chart, very similar thing happening here. Obviously, a big bear market. Price was negative delta for a long time. And then the trend line is moving up, and we are just above the zero, the neutral line, as far as the delta. So I don't know. This looks like people lost interest in it, and maybe it just kind of hit bottom, so to speak, in terms of the amount of trading that's happening. I don't know. I feel like Solana's in a really interesting spot because it has good branding. It's been solid. It hasn't had a lot of drama or lawsuits or anything. Seems like a lot of companies are using it. I've been mining helium, and the helium network I think went down, and so they switched to Solana. Is now what I get paid out in for mining off the helium network. So I've been accumulating that a little bit with the Bobcat.
You'll have to show us how to do that. You'll have to do a video on that. That'd be interesting to see.
Yeah, there's these Bobcat miners. There's another one called Raspberry. I think you can take a little Raspberry unit and turn it into a mining. Um, device for the Helium network. I'll see if I can find some links and I'll post about that. The hardest thing about it with the Bobcats, they can take a long time to order. I think mine took like 4 or 5 months to get them, and
Yeah,
they were really pumping out rewards the first month or two when I had it set up, and then they cut the mining rewards, and it went down by like tens of thousands of a point. It was ridiculous.
yeah.
So we'll see what happens as things pick up again. So just looking at Solana, it does look like it's above the neutral point. It looks like it's starting to aim higher again. It hasn't really crossed the zero line yet in terms of the 50 moving average. So I imagine that'll be when things get really interesting, uh, when that swoops across.
Could
Just on,
fly when that happens. It looks strong as
yeah,
it without any indicators. Solana looks strong as on its own
it really
with just
does.
the volume guys.
This looks like a great big cup and handle
Mm,
pattern, which is more important on the higher time frame. And
yep,
there's the little retest and bounce. So this has got legs for sure.
yep.
I'm liking that. Um, since we're on this subject, I'll just take a look at bit farms. I've been kind of accumulating bit farms lately. It's a futures-based ETF, and I just figured, it was like $2.20 when I started buying it, and it's gone up to 270. So that's been awesome to just have it and hold it and not really trade it, let it do its thing. Same thing with this. It had a big spike and it dropped down below neutral. This would be the sell the news event when the spot ETFs were approved, and then it looks like it's starting to pick up now. It's recovered, so it's kind of like a retracement that happened. Let's get rid of that and try this one. Just looking at the fibs on it, came down to the 70% retracement. So that's a good spot for a bounce. This thing should go up to, I mean, I think we could count on 359, but as high as 427 off this move.
It looks good.
Yeah. Yeah, so I've just been going through kind of all the crypto related stuff and taking a look at the delta. Flipping over to the dollar. The dollar is not going to give us delta because it's not that. It's just a index, I guess. But yeah, dollar looks interesting. If it falls off here, that's really good for prices. It kind of looks like it's
Yeah,
in a downtrend. Um, I just run the fibs going this way. So yeah, we got a 70% retracement, and then if I make that my top, we got another 50% retracement, and then this one, let's see where this one's at. Well, this one I don't even know if it's the bottom yet, so I can't even plot that. But just looking at this could easily go down to 103.9. There is a bearish FVG right here on the, I don't even know what time frame I'm on though. But there's a little FVG right there. Let's take a look. Let's put that on the, maybe that's on the daily. No, that's the 2 hour. Okay. So I'm going to roll this back up since it's on the daily now. And we got a nice 70% retracement. There's still a little leeway in here. I'm going to break this down a little further and see if I can get in tighter. And there's an FVG, fair value gap. So it is solidly inside the fair value gap. It looks like it's breaking down. I can adjust that a little higher. This is on the 8 hour. Yeah, so we got a nice candle close inside the bearish FVG, and then it would be nice if we start to see another one form. I don't see one yet. There's great big bullish buy side imbalance right here on the daily. So that can act as, support, but there's still plenty of room for this to come down
Yeah,
to that level. So that would put us
that'd
at,
be good for crypto as well.
yeah, 103.8, which is pretty close to what I said previously, 103.9. 103.9 is kind of the bottom, and then if it extends, it could extend into about 103.8, 103.75. So that's bullish for the market if that comes down. I've been looking at a little bit here and there at the Australian dollar because usually it's inverse to the U.S. dollar. So if the Aussie's going up, then the dollar's usually coming down. I don't know if I have that set up here. Yeah, so that looks like it could be having a nice little double bottom kind of situation. So we could get a little bounce there out of the Australian dollar. That would correlate well. That was a big, actually looking at the Aussie, there's a great big range that then faked like it was going to break out and broke down the other way and then came down. And so it looks like it's in another um, rotation range right here. So that could be an accumulation, which would be nice if it turns out. So if this breaks higher. Yeah, so that's looking pretty good. Is there anything else that you want me to look at or look into? Did we do Matic?
No, you didn't know. Have a look at XRP after as well,
Oh,
if you can.
XRP. That's the one that. Yeah, that was the one that I wanted to make sure was in here. I thought I had that already lined up, but I didn't. Let's see. XRP. There you are. Yeah, so XRP was one Ripple I was looking at earlier, and it surprised me in that the delta was completely negative and below zero. Look at that.
Wow.
And has been for some time. Now, this is on the weekly. Obviously, things are different on the daily, but if you look at the trend line, it looks like the trend is starting to turn up, but it's been sell heavy. So it's like every time it tries to move up, it gets sold. And this has been since um, maybe 2019. This is the pairing with Tether. So I think Ripple goes back prior to that.
Yeah,
I don't know if it was paired with Tether prior to that, but this is the Tether pairing. Completely delta negative the whole time,
that's a bit crazy. That is really.
isn't it? It definitely changes my
Makes you
perspective.
think.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you look at this, the sell volume is decreasing, you know, right here, but it still has quite a ways to go to become delta positive.
it looks like someone's in fully control of that.
It really does. Yeah, I mean, look how, perfect this is. That's just controlled selling.
Not a turtle head in sight.
Yeah. And you notice here on the spike, this is probably the all-time high right here, or that's what was this 2021. So that wasn't the all-time high, but that was the most recent what do we call that? The Bitcoin peak, right?
Yeah, the top for that. Oh, yeah,
So this is December, 21, or that says April 21. Interesting. So where's
that'd be
December?
the cycle top for XRP. I remember that.
Yeah. So, they were selling, 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 and then look, they spiked price to go up, and price went parabolic here, and you know they stopped selling. So they were probably taking all their profit in here, right? And then
Yeah,
and then just taking little bits as it went up. But there wasn't any I mean, you can see there wasn't any buy volume behind that to push it higher.
I'm
Yeah,
going to write that down. I'm going to look into that.
yeah, same. I'm gonna pull up another chart at some point and look at another pairing, maybe the USD pairing, and see if there's any difference in the weekly delta. That would be something to look into. And then I'm just gonna pop over to Matic, and Matic has looked really strong this whole time. Similar to Bitcoin, it's been accumulated since 21. It's been bought up and bought up and bought up and bought up. So that means that this higher time frame, there's a range happening here, an accumulation range. And I need to chart that. I haven't done that yet. But just looking at the delta, we're above the moving average. We are above zero, so it's delta positive and has been this whole time. So that tells me it's a strong one.
Does look strong.
Yeah. Which I like because a lot of the NFTs and companies like that are using Matic as um, the coin that they what am I trying to say, that they close a transaction with, you know.
Yeah,
So
it's
that's
going to be a lot cheaper to do that on Polygon than it is Ethereum as
just
well.
in terms of speed and fees and stuff like that.
Fees, yeah,
Yeah.
fees are
Yeah,
awful.
I think so too. Yeah, the last thing I've been kind of mulling over, I think I mentioned this to you too, was the Ethereum ETFs that are futures ETFs that may turn into spot. I think that might be one. Yeah, that's the grayscale. It's kind of interesting what's happening with that. It looks like it spiked in all of the expectation, and then the buy volume fell off, but the price didn't really fall off. So that tells me there's some strength happening there. It has been sold off a bit here, so in January, but it just looks like a healthy retracement. If I take this from the kind of like the recent price run, let's look at that on the monthly. Let's switch down to 5 days and just see if I can really find the bottom here. That looks like it. Moving up. So maybe we didn't get a full retracement on that. It's like to the 50% line, at least. Which tells me this could actually come down again, and then really, gain some speed or momentum around 62%. That's what I'd like to see. So I'm going to hold off on buying any of the Ethereum ETFs right now, but just keep an eye on the delta here. Make sure that's on zero. It's delta positive. It's possible that this had a smaller little retracement that I didn't catch. It's in there, but this looks a bit choppy and weird. Doesn't look clean. Yeah, see what I'm noticing when you get these big wicks, a lot of times that's the target. It's almost signaling like where price is going to go.
Yeah,
Let's see if I can slide this over. There is kind of like a pretty obvious little retracement there. That's healthy. That's healthy. That's healthy. And then when we get in here, it starts to look a little wonky. Yeah, see, we blew past. There's a negative or a bearish volume imbalance right there. Um, I bet you this is a bearish order block. Yeah, there it is. So I'm just going to chart that. So we got a bearish order block up to 2188, which needs to be retested for it to come down some more. So at this point, I would actually flip this at my perspective bearish on this. And I'm just going to run a fib going the other way. Yeah, see that's at the 62% pullback. Um, there's still a little bit more room. It could test up into the 79%. So I'd be cautious with this one.
Yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me if they sell it off some more so that they can accumulate it at a lower price.
I think that's what will happen before it'll get sold off before the ETFs are released, just like they did with Bitcoin.
Yeah. Now here's the thing though. This happened in ES on Friday. This exact pattern um, on a smaller scale, and price is fractal, so it kind of reflects on the different time frames. And it really threw me for a loop because let me just grab an arrow here so I can show you what I'm talking about. I can never remember where the arrows are. There we go. So we got this higher high, right? So that's bullish.
Yeah,
We got a higher low right here, double bottom, boom. And then we got this lower low. And this happened on the ES on the I'm going to say it was like on the 30-minute time frame. That lower low threw me. I'm like, why are we getting a lower low? That's usually a bearish signal. And then it popped up, so it made a lower high here, right? So these 2 points, these two swings are bearish. Except then it came
yeah,
back and it made a higher low. And when I ran the fibs off this, it was kind of a perfect, 50% retracement, same as this, right? So this
yeah,
signaled the start of an upswing, and that upswing went to the previous high and blew past it a little bit. So that could totally be happening here, and this could all be what am I trying to say? Sentiment, positive sentiment about the ETFs being approved. That could actually give this legs right back up into here, and then we'd have to see, So this could be basically like a liquidity pull. Um, I really didn't like how this made that lower low, but on the short term at least, I was wrong and I had to flip my perspective, and that's where I got that big trade from that I posted on Friday. Um, was
yeah. That was a good
once
one. That was good
yeah
to see.
once I saw that bounce right here, um, that was my signal that like my bearish perspective had to flip, and so I did, and so I got in on that price pattern moving up. I could just pull that up and take a look here. Let's see if it comes up. Yeah, so here you can see it's kind of a similar thing happening. Let's see, arrow. So here we had this big spike in the pre-market and made the higher high. And, we had a higher low to a higher high, so this is like bullish. And then it drops way down and it makes this lower low. And I'm thinking, still in the bearish mindset of like, okay, you know, sell the rip. And I'm really trying to flip the other way into the buy the dip. And this was the dip that needed to be bought. And so if it just became really this to me was really awkward and weird. It looked wrong on the chart, but when I ran the fibs on it, there was this perfect, 50% retracement into discount, tested twice, and it took off. And so, I didn't even trust it until it got past this point, and so I didn't even get in until up here, and I sold at this high. And so does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah,
I think that's kind of what this looks like, the same pattern
yeah. I
happening.
see what you mean. Yeah,
There's this high, that's the target, but they did like a liquidity pull, you know. It looks unnatural for it to have dipped that low, unless it's a reset, and that can
mm,
happen. That can happen on a reset. And I think I ran a larger fib on it from like here. Let's see. I think I ran from, yeah. So from this low point, this previous swing low, to this high, this pulled back to 79%. And you can see that kind of touching right there. Um, excuse me. I think I actually went from the price run where it started right here. So we got into the 79% discount. It didn't go all the way to 100%. I guess it would be like right there. And I'm try not to fudge everything and just try, be aware of my bias that I'm not trying to make everything just fit. But I was really, really perturbed by this low until I saw this 79% pullback. And to me, 79% can signal the start of a wave one. And usually, what I would see then is this would become the bottom, and then price would surpass the high, and then it would usually go up to here to the 1.272 extension. And then from that point, which would be from the low to the high, it would pull back to 62%. And that would be the clear start of a wave one, wave two. This thing's about to take off. But either all that hasn't happened yet, and this is just a minor wave inside, or this is a very corrective move that's kind of actually correcting in a weird way. Does you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, it
Does
just
it?
go
It
ahead.
looks like a big gap there as well, where it was,
Yeah,
where it did.
this volume imbalance, right?
Yeah,
Um, or volume gap. Yeah. So, and again, sometimes that can signal like the start or the end. So if this was a bearish move, that could be bearish exhaustion happening in that gap. And, if you were to chart that, look where price bounced right on top of it. So that gap became
yeah,
really good support. So, it made sense, but it was tricky.
yeah. I
Very,
see.
very tricky. I didn't like it. But, again, fascinated to see that it's happening. It's mirroring on both charts. Um, you know, this is an Ethereum ETF futures chart is mirroring the ES. So there's definitely some syncing up happening.
I think the ETFs are inevitable with Ethereum. Um, with the Bitcoin ones, people were unsure, but now I think it's inevitable and people know that. I think that's what's going to help this one.
I think so too because the SEC is already, approved of the Bitcoin ones, and
Yeah,
in terms of whether it's a security or not, the Ethereum has also been approved. Those are the two that the SEC has approved, so it's only a matter of time. And it's going to be
yeah,
funny, we're going to see all these lawsuits resolve positively as the bull run really kicks in. And
yeah,
it's kind of like the whole wag the dog comment, or the horse before the cart. It's like who's in control? It- you know,
yeah,
is the SEC really in control, or is that just the point where they lose control and they have to cave in because the bull run just takes over and becomes so strong? And that's kind of maybe it's both. I don't have an answer to that, but it's just funny how they happen synchronously.
yeah, yeah,
Synchronous. What I'm trying to say. They happen at the same time.
yeah, yeah.
So
There's no coincidence.
yeah, yeah, it's not. I mean, these guys are aware, or their financial advisors are aware, or Grayscale and BlackRock, those guys are aware of this whole thing happening, and they're playing within it. So
For sure. I mean,
yeah,
Gary Gensler, who did he work for before? Was it Grayscale or
I think so.
one of
Yeah,
them?
yeah, he
One of
came
them,
from
wasn't
came from one of the big ones.
he? Yeah.
Um, so I'm just gonna stop the video right there.
Yep.
Thanks everyone for watching. Give us a like. You're always welcome to join the Discord Crypto Cartel, and you can find Luke at Streets No Names on Twitter, or myself at Phils Jackson. And you can always get an invite link from us if you want to follow along. We post charts and updates daily. And yeah, happy trading out there. Anything else you want to add?
No, brilliant, mate. Thank you. If you give me a bit more notice next time, I'll get my screen set up as well, and we can both go at it at the same time.
Oh, that'd be brilliant. All right,
Yep.
so I'm just
Look
signing.
forward to it.
I'm